Good evening and welcome. The meeting of the Cleveland County Board of Education for Monday, November 21st is called to order. First, we have the invocation by Reverend Tim Trexler of Mount Sinai Baptist. Reverend.
Let's pray together. Father in heaven, it's a joy to come before you and to humble ourselves and acknowledge you as the one true God. Father, we thank you that every good and perfect gift comes from you. We thank you for the freedoms and opportunities you've granted to us. We thank you for your word that says, call upon me, and I will answer thee and show thee great and mighty things which thou knowest not. So, Lord, I pray your favor, your wisdom, your guidance upon this school board and these decisions, Lord. We know that we are stewards of what you've entrusted to us. Help us to be found faithful. Lord, we thank you that the scripture says you are the one that goes before us. And Lord, your wisdom is first of all pure and gentle and peaceable, unwavering and without hypocrisy. So Father, just grant favor to this place tonight. We thank you for the things we'll be able to celebrate. We thank you, Lord, that you remain faithful to us in all seasons of life. You're an awesome God. And we pray your hand upon this group in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Next is our Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Hunt.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This evening we have some folks to recognize. This past summer, the Cleveland County Sheriff's Office hosted 6 weeks of STAR Camp for students in Cleveland County. Team CCS was fortunate enough to be able to partner with the Sheriff's Office in this great opportunity. Tonight, Dr. Greg Shull and Lieutenant Daniel Howe are here to recognize Cleveland County School students that served as camp counselors. Gentlemen.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, Dr. Fisher, we're going to change it up on you a little bit. We're going to bring the team up. So let me start, if you will, with Captain Brian Gordon.
Mr. Chairman, board members, thank you for this opportunity. On behalf of the Sheriff's Office and Sheriff Alan Norman, we want to thank you for allowing us to come and recognize these student leaders. And thank you for your partnership in the program, which I think personally was a great success this year, and we look forward to doing it for many, many years to come. And with that, I'll have Lieutenant Daniel Howe come up, explain just a brief intro on the program, and then we'll recognize these student leaders.
Good evening, everyone. First off, I'd like to second what Captain Gordon said. We really appreciate the partnership that we have with Cleveland County Schools this year. Your support and your help really made the camp possible for our kids in our county. Just for the audience and yourselves, the STAR program, that's an acronym for Sheriff's Teaching Abuse Resistance. This is a program that is similar to the DARE program that's kind of went away from our county just a little bit, and this is a new program that we started this past year. In the 7 Cleveland County schools that we taught that in last year, we taught approximately 540 fifth grade students. Some of those lessons included good citizenship and what influences our behaviors, good decision making, the consequences of alcohol, tobacco, and e-cigarettes, marijuana, inhalants, and other illegal drugs, and how that influences your body and you, and then ways for you to say no. Also, a lesson was about prescription drug awareness and the safety of those prescription drugs, how to take care if there's prescription drugs in your house, what to take, what not to take, and then if you find prescription drugs, how do you dispose of those properly. Lesson number 5 was actually taught by the Cleveland County school nurse in each school. We taught them what you're not supposed to do, what is illegal, what's not, what exactly how you're supposed to act. The nurse is actually taught the part of the lesson that tells you what these things do to your body, how it affects your brain, how it affects your mind, everything about you. Lesson 6 was covering bullying, responsible behavior using electronic means, talking about your cell phones, We talked about gangs, and we talked about child or human trafficking. Those are the 6 lessons that are in this curriculum. Each one of the students received a booklet, and it's a book of handouts that they were able to follow along in each lesson and actually have homework assignments in each one of those lessons. So with that, with those teaching those kids, we were able to develop a summer camp that was a 3-day summer camp. And we did 6 of those camps. So during the summer, we did 3 weeks. We had a 2-week break, and we had another 3 weeks of camp. In total, we had 198 5th grade students in our county that came to our camp. That camp is free of charge for those students. We invited, I think the number we invited was 402 kids. We had almost half of those students actually come to the camp. Again, it was free. That camp was 3 days long, consisted of showing up at 7:30, and it went to 5:30 for 3 days. The third day went till 8 p.m. So it's a long 3 days. They did a lot of activities, a lot of educational experiences, also some fun activities. But on day 3, I think what we took out of it is we taught them how to be a good citizen and making good decisions. But we had them do a community project. That community project was at an elementary school or a high school in their zone that they were planning to attend. So we did one at Crest High, we did one at Crest Middle, Springmore, Union. We did one at Burns High, Burns Middle, and Falston. That was about an 1.5 to 2 hour thing where we picked up trash, we put out mulch, we pulled weeds. We did anything we can to help that school look better and to allow these students, these 5th graders, to learn a little bit of responsibility. They did a great job at overall those schools. The ones that we were able to help, really, it made an improvement in the appearance, and it let the kids have a little bit of a part in that. So with all that being said, we couldn't have done this camp without the help of about 21 Cleveland County high school students. These students were picked by the staffs at the school resource officer at Crest High and Burns High had a part in selecting those kids, and those kids were counselors for those camps. Some of those kids signed up for 1 week of that camp, or 3 days of that camp, and worked 4 or 5 of those camps. After they got there, they realized what it was. They realized the impact that they were having on young kids, 10, 11, 12-year-old kids. And I think with what they saw led them to realize, hey, we can have a hand in raising the younger generation. And we could see that after that first week to week 6, it was like they were totally different high school kids. The relationship that was built between the high school students and the school resource officers that were at each one of these camps was remarkable from the beginning to the end. To this day, if we're at Burns High or Crest High School, if the SRO is there, generally you see 2 or 3 of those camp counselors somewhere talking to an SRO. I won't embarrass the student, but during one of the camps, I asked one of the students, have you ever had any type of interaction with law enforcement before this camp? And she said, no. And I said, what is your opinion now of law enforcement prior to what you had heard on the outside? And she said, oh, I get along with y'all good. So we thought the camp was going to be more as much for 5th grade as anybody, but these high school kids, I think they benefited from it. And that gets them ready to go to college. There's a lot of responsibility, and I think the part that they had a hand in this camp helped prepare them even more to go out on their own. So at this time, I'd like to recognize SRO Bowling. He's the SRO at Crest High School. Sergeant Bart Lee, he is sergeant in our school resource division. And in the back is Jonathan Smith. He is the SRO at Burns High School. So these 3 were instrumental in the camp, helping keep things rolling, keep things moving. And for the audience, there's 15 school resource officers that is assigned to Cleveland County Sheriff's Office. We cover a total of 13 total schools. 11 of those schools are Cleveland County schools. So we take our job very serious, And this camp and the STAR program is a great program that we've been able to get, started in our schools to help develop keep those relationships, develop a relationship, and hopefully keep those relationships going year after year. But at this time, if it's okay, I'd like to recognize the high school students that were able to help us this year with the camp.
Absolutely.
And if you hear your name, just come forward, and Dr. Fisher and Mr. Scholl will be presenting you with a certificate. All right, I'm going to start with Crest High School, DeKayla Davis. Burns High School, Rachel Elliott. Crest High School, Addie Ford. Crest High School, Emma Kennedy. Burns High School, McKinley Lee. Crest High School, Evan Lee. Burns High School, Camden Mackle. Crest High School, Caden Marshall. Burns High School, Camden Martin. Crest High School, Chloe McCraw. Cleveland Innovation, Emma Melton. Burns High School, Onijah Miller. Burns High School, Montez Parker. Crest High School, Nicholas Plummer. Crest High School, Maggie Pruitt. Crest High School, Sierra Rippey. Crest High School, Emma Shore. Crest High School, Miranda Sheely. Burns High School, Rory Smith. Burns High School, Sage Strange. Crest High School, Kanaya Wright. Anthony Prumer.
Are you ready? Let's do good this time. All right, here we go. Everybody look this way. 1, 2, 3. Thank you for all this you did.
Great job.
Thanks, Dan.
We'll give just a moment for folks to make their way out. Well, we certainly would like to thank our SROs and Sheriff Norman for the work they've done and for all the camp counselors. Those students have reached a level of maturity that a lot of students don't, so appreciate the work they did. On to some more news. I'm happy to announce that Cleveland County Schools 22-23 school safety grant has been approved and was fully funded. The grant total was $1,310,891. The total allotment is split between funding for school resource officers, school safety equipment, services for students in crisis, and training to increase school safety. This grant's for the 22-23 school year. We're extremely grateful to our local delegates, Speaker of House Tim Moore, Representative Kelly Hastings, and Senator Ted Alexander in the General Assembly for their support of school safety in Cleveland County Schools. Moving on, we had on Thursday, November 3rd, Cleveland County Schools participated in a federal programs monitoring visit. A team from North Carolina DPI that monitors our federal programs and funds came for a site visit. The team visited 4 elementary schools, met with parents, community stakeholders, teachers, and administrators, and then finished their day with an exit visit with district leadership. The visits went very well, and the DPI team seemed extremely impressed. And a few comments from DPI during the exit interview were, they stated that data collection was top-notch, extremely thorough, and well-organized, had excellent school visits, and schools had great things going on. They were impressed with the school rigor. Teacher buy-in was obvious. Teachers were happy with the support they were given and the voice that they have. Students seemed happy, and parents that they met with were pleased and happy. Parents appreciated the good communication and even said that sometimes they get too much communication from the school. Classroom lessons were taught with fidelity. Noted that computers were not overused like they've seen in some school districts. Probably one of the statements that I was proudest of is they noted a common language throughout the district. And school appearance was impressive. Schools were inviting. Classrooms used charts, classroom decorations, and had a nurturing and inviting environment. We'll get a formal report in 30 days, but wanted to announce that to the community. And there's lots of thank yous to go around, but particularly Tamara Goforth, Heather Stevenson, Laura Beaver, Gina Gold, Angie Knapp, Laura McGill, and the entire staff at Kaiser, Falston Union, and Number 3 for hosting the site visits. So this visit is another example of CCS and cultivating excellence every day. So we appreciate all the folks that participated in those meetings. So next we have adoption of the agenda. What's the pleasure of the board? I have a motion by Mr. Fitch, second by Mr. Hunt. Any questions or discussion? Those in favor of the agenda, if you'd raise your hand. And that carries 9-0. Next is public participation. We do have one speaker, Ms. Samantha Davis.
It's been a long time coming. I prayed for many years that you all would listen to me. I prayed you would stand up for our minority children, our special needs children, and our bullied children. I prayed for better days, days without the heartache of seeing my children as well as others be bullied and retaliated against. Days where this school board would do what's right for every single child. Days where you all would listen to us parents who so many times cried out to you for help. I never stopped praying. Mrs. Green and Mr. Hunt, I remember when you two became members of this school board. I remember thinking, finally, we have someone to represent our minority children. Finally, I can breathe a little easier because you know what it's like to be a minority. Yet you did not stand up for our minority children. You did not do anything about the injustices against our minority children. You did nothing. Mr. Glover, 16 years. 16 years of you bullying other school board members, sweeping things under the rug, mocking and laughing at parents that would speak up at school board meetings. 16 years of you thinking you are invincible and better than us all. We, the people, have voted. It's time to say goodbye and good riddance. I pray you never have to feel the pain that myself and many other parents have felt because of school board members that truly didn't care.
Next Next, we have approval of the minutes. There are two sets of minutes. One is the October 10th business and closed session, and the second is the October 10th closed session. What's the pleasure of the board?
Motion to approve both.
Motion by Mr. Fitch. Was it Mr. Hunt? Okay. Second by Mr. Hunt. Any questions or discussion? Those in favor of both sets, Mr. Blank?
Closed session minutes is not accurate for, I don't feel.
Okay. We can't discuss the closed session in here,
That's right.
but
Well, I just want the vote to know that it was an 8-1 vote. We can
But-
discuss that, can't we?
If we need to split the minutes apart and discuss a closed session in.
You can say how the vote was, right?
You can count
Okay.
both, but
Just want to make it clear that I was against.
all right, we have a motion and a second to approve both. Do we need to withdraw the motion and separate those? Is there a motion to bifurcate? I mean, that's the official term, but. Okay, hearing none, we'll proceed on with the vote. Those in favor of approving the minutes of the October 10th business and closed session and the October 10th closed session, if you'd raise your hand. Any opposed? That carries 8-1. We'll move on to committee reports. First is Finance and Personnel, Mr. Shores.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Finance and Personnel Committee, meeting November the 4th was called to order. The meeting started with the recommendation to increase the teacher supplement rate from 5.75% to 7.75% effective this school year. The county has sent us a check for this increase from escrow. Dr. Fisher explained the escrow process from the county. The first half of the teacher supplement will be paid in November prior to Thanksgiving. The committee approved the recommendation, and it's on the agenda for full board approval. The committee reviewed the plan for the PRC 071 funds, which provide teachers with an additional supplement. The plan is for teachers with 15 years of experience or more to get the maximum amount, which is $1,995. Teachers with 14 years or less will receive $1,300, which could be increased based on the funding. Eligible teachers must have been employed by the district owner before December 21st, 2022. The additional supplement will be paid with the January check. The committee approved the recommendation, and it also is on the agenda for full approval. Cleveland County Schools wrote and received the school safety grant for over $1.3 million. This is a one-year grant. It does not cover the full cost of SROs, but it is a 4-to-1 match. This grant also has an allotment to be used for the safety equipment and safety training. Rob McDaniel shared the 2022-23 budget resolution. The committee reviewed and discussed the budget resolution. There are increased costs due to employee pay raises and rising prices. The increased costs of transportation and child nutrition were specifically discussed related to the rising diesel and fuel prices, as well as classified salary due to the new $15 an hour minimum. The committee unanimously approved the 2022-2023 budget resolution, and it is also on tonight's agenda. Dr. Fisher shared an invoice from Cleveland County College for $111,650. This invoice is to cover the cost of courses taken by our high school students. We have a board-approved MOU with Cleveland Community College where we pay up to $150,000 per year at $50 per course per student. Since we pay this, our students do not have to pay any fees to take the CCP courses. The committee approved this invoice unanimously, and it's on tonight's agenda as well. Dr. Fisher shared where Cleveland County Schools ranks in the region and surrounding areas in a variety of areas. Specifically, Cleveland County Schools ranks at the top of the low teacher turnover and low teacher mobility rate. With no new business, the meeting was adjourned. The next Finance Committee will be Friday, December the 2nd at 10:30 a.m.
Thank you, Mr. Shores. There are several action items in Finance and Personnel. First is the 22-23 budget resolution. Mr. McDaniel, have there been any changes since the committee meeting? Okay. This comes from committee recommended for approval, so it needs no second. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, those in favor, if you'd raise your hand. That carries 9-0. Next is teacher supplements, and that covers two parts. First is the recommendation to increase the teacher supplement rate from 5 3/4 to 7 3/4, effective immediately. Does that go back to July? I believe it will. It'll include July, and it'll be paid November 22nd. Okay. So we'll do that one first. That does come from committee recommended for approval. Any questions or discussion? Those in favor, if you'd raise your hand. And that carries 9-0. Second is the PRC 071 supplement that comes from the state. That will give teachers with 15 years of experience or more the maximum amount, which is $1,995. Teachers with 14 years or less will get at least $1,300. That number could increase depending on how much money's left. Eligible teachers will have to have been employed by the district owner before December 21. And let's see, that will be paid in the January check. That again comes from committee recommended for approval. Any questions or discussion?
I've got one question. Did anything come for our unclassified help and,
For class, this is strictly for teachers, as
yeah,
I
right,
understand.
teachers, okay. Do we have any coming for them, our others?
I'm not aware of any from the state. Are you, Dr. Pitt? No. Yeah, the PRC 071 comes
Well,
directly
they're
from the
just as
state.
important in my book as everybody else. It's all, it takes a team to make everything work. Okay, I just want to make that clear.
Any other questions? Those in favor of the PRC 071 supplement plan, if you'd raise your hand. And that carries 9-0. Then we have our standard personnel report. This includes the personnel report, substitutes, renewable contracts, and a personnel recommendation. So we'll take all of those together unless there's an objection. All right, what's the pleasure of the board?
Make a motion, we approve the personnel report recommended by the superintendent.
Motion by Mr. Glover. Second by Mr. Hunt. Any further questions or discussion? It's personnel, so we have to be careful, but
We got that one. Is it on here, on that personnel? It's not showing on it, is it?
It is.
It is.
Okay.
all right. Those in favor of the personnel report, if you'd raise your hand. Any opposed? Carries 8-1. Next is the Cleveland County Schools. Let me make sure I'm on the right. Okay. Is the memorandum of understanding with the county, and this gives intention of funding and performance metrics. I think that's been in your packet for several days. That went through Finance Committee, recommended for approval. Any questions or comments? This is something we've worked on with the county commissioners for just about the past year. All right, those in favor of the MOU between the school board and the county commissioners, if you raise your hand. All right, that carries 9-0. Then we have the invoice for the CCP classes with Cleveland Community College. Again, there's a standing MOU between the school system and college for a not to exceed $150,000 for the year. This $111,650 is for the first semester, so we will only pay, I didn't do the math on that ahead of time, $38,350. That's pretty good on the spot. So that's all we have to pay next semester. Any questions or discussion on that? Mr. Bland?
All right, what if we have more kids sign up and it runs over the $150,000? Are we not going to let that kid in?
No, the community college is eating it.
Okay.
Yep. Now, if I know Dr. Hurst, he'll probably be back at the end of the term of this and we'll renegotiate. But for right now, that's the deal. And that does allow our students to take classes for free. There's no, if you're a community college student, you're paying fees if you're over 18, but our students don't have to pay any.
Mr. Chair, I do have one more question. I did check into that just a little bit. The charter school is paying now too, like we are. They might be at a different rate, but
It's at the same
as
rate.
of last year, the charter school didn't pay and we did pay. And I didn't like that. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. So, I checked on that today to make sure, and other schools are paying like we're paying, so I don't have the problem, as long as everything's being fair across the board.
Any other questions or comments? Those in favor of the invoice with Cleveland Community College, if you raise your hand. That carries 9-0. All right, educational programs, Mr. Humphries.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. The November 4th Education Programs Committee meeting, we started with Dr. Ware, principal at Turning Point Academy. She presented a proposal to modify the daily schedule for TPA. Dr. Ware highlighted current enrollment and discipline data and shared that 98% of TPA's office referrals occur after 1 p.m. TPA placement data and their return to school process was explained. The proposed student schedules for middle and high school students were shared. The school day would begin at 8 a.m. and finish at 1:30 p.m. The change would allow for enrichment and job training opportunities from 1:30 to 3:30. TPA teachers' daily hours would not change. This change is recommended for the second semester. Second semester begins January the 5th. The committee supported the proposal and recommended that the adjustment to the student's daily schedule be approved by the Board of Education. Ms. Nichols, principal at Cleveland Early College High School, presented information related to student schedules at the early college. Ms. Nichols' proposal requests approval to release CECHS students at 2 p.m. on Fridays. This will not impact the required instructional hours. This would mean eliminating a college class on Fridays. Ms. Nichols stated that the current trend is that more and more students are finishing early. By taking away the Friday CCP elective classes, it will better balance the schedules for freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and seniors. Currently, the 9th through 11th college course load currently outweighs the senior year schedule. In addition, this proposal will increase the time on Fridays in high school core classes and allow for community engagement and college visits on Friday afternoons. Cleveland Community College has been involved in the conversation and they are supportive of the proposed adjustment. CECHS would like to implement this revision to the schedule for the spring semester. The committee supported the proposal and recommended that the adjustment to the student's Friday schedule be approved by the board. Mrs. Benfield, Cleveland County Schools Career and Technical Education Coordinator, highlighted that November is Career Development Month. Career Development Coordinators will be recognized at the board meeting. CTE Honor Society induction for students is scheduled for November the 14th. He's already passed, sorry about that. The CTE department is currently applying for a CTE modernization grant for middle school modules and an ancillary grant to update the kitchens in our food labs. Mr. Benfield also highlighted our EMR, beekeeping, and drone piloting credentials, as well as the upcoming CNA Rise to Success program expansion, and that's through Atrium Health, by the way. Ms. Goforth, Executive Director of Elementary Education in Title I, highlighted the district's federal audit visit. NCDPI monitored our federal consolidated grants, including Title I, Title II, Title III, Title IV, and McKinney-Vento. 4 schools were selected for focused visits: Kaiser, Falston, Union, and Township Number 3. All school visits were excellent. The review team noted that the district's documentation was thorough and well organized. In summary, the team was impressed with the rigor of instruction, positive culture, the inviting atmosphere in all the schools visited, and our teachers' commitment to ensuring that our students are receiving an exceptional educational experience. The district will receive the final report within 30 business days from the visit. The North Carolina Traditional Public School District per pupil expenditure chart was shared, and it was stated that the district has a high percentage of students living in poverty. Yet Cleveland County is doing a great job meeting the needs of all of our students. With no new business, the meeting was adjourned. The next Education Programs Committee meeting is scheduled for Friday, December the 2nd at 10:30.
Thank you, Mr. Humphries. Next, we have a CTE update. Ms. Benfield?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Thank you for giving me a few minutes to elaborate on a little bit of what Mr. Humphries shared with you. November is Career Development Month in North Carolina and across the nation. And we've had plenty going on in CTE this month, and I think they're showing some pictures for you, just to let those loop a little bit while I talk about what you're seeing. We began the month of November with a tour stop from the Be Pro, Be Proud truck. Those are some of the pictures you're seeing right now. The truck is sponsored by the North Carolina Department of Labor and the North Carolina Home Builders Association. And the purpose is to promote the skilled trades. So students got to board the truck and experience a little bit of virtual reality and simulations and utility linemen, driving a tractor trailer, welding, a CNC machine, a variety of some of the skilled trades. We have career trees that have gone up in our middle schools and high schools. Each leaf represents a CTE student and their career goal. The poetry and art contest, we participate every year. Cleveland County Schools has great representation in that contest, and we're doing that again. Our CTE Honor Society induction was last Monday night. We had 162 high school seniors who were inducted into that Honor Society, and that was 61 more seniors than we had last year. Great turnout. Later on this month, we will be hosting the regional competition for DECA. We will have in excess of 200 high school marketing students here at Central Services to take part in that competition. A little bit of show and tell. Our new EMT program at Kings Mountain High School, the new patch is out. This will be placed on the students' uniforms as they're preparing to move to level 2 now. They've completed level 1, or about to complete level 1. So when they move to level 2, they'll actually have uniforms, and those patches will be on their uniforms. Our natural resources class at Kings Mountain High School just harvested their first honey. They received a beekeeping grant this year, and so they actually harvested their first honey. And the students wanted you to have some, so you have some at your seat. You also have the goat milk soap that they produce. They wanted you to have that. This is hot off the press, but our vet science team from Crest High School's agriculture department, they competed this past weekend. They placed first in the state. So they will be moving on to national competition in 2023. Mr. Humphries mentioned our grant applications to you. We have applied for a $50,000 modernization grant, and that will put some interactive learning labs in our middle schools, so we're looking forward to that. A $250,000 grant, that's how much, it's $1 million grant, but we asked for $250,000. And primarily that would go to upgrade our kitchen labs in our food and nutrition classes. Our Atrium Health partnership is expanding. We're very, very, very excited about this, and I'm very happy to report that Atrium Health is expanding 2 programs that they've had in the Charlotte area for the past 3 years, and they're expanding that to Cleveland County this school year. Rise to Success, we will have 8 seniors from our nursing fundamentals classes who will be selected for their Rise to Success program. They'll work in the hospital starting this summer as a CNA. They'll pay them $16 an hour. They will pay for their education at a local community college. They'll get tuition, textbooks, scrubs, everything. will be paid for, and then they'll work for Atrium after they graduate for a year. Also expanding their high school summer internships to our county this year. Some of our sophomores and juniors from health science classes will spend 6 weeks this summer working at Atrium Health, Shelby, Cleveland, and they too will be paid $16 an hour. November 16th was Career Development Coordinator Day in North Carolina, and we have 5 awesome CDCs in Cleveland County. We're very blessed, and I'm going to recognize them at this time. First of all, Penny Klotz. She's our CDC at Crest High School. Penny, if you'll come on down. And as you know, Penny, we recently also added to Penny's duties. She's our work-based learning coordinator too. She's working on internships and apprenticeships for us and doing just a super job working with the businesses. This is our first year, and looks like we're going to have about 15 seniors to complete an internship in our first year. Second is Courtney Doster. Courtney, as you know, we hired. She is our middle school work-based learning coordinator. Dan Freilich is our career development coordinator at Shelby High School. Nicole Hamrick is our career development coordinator at Burns High School. And Kay Harris is our career development coordinator at Kings Mountain High School. She could not be here tonight. She has a child with an orchestra concert. So, all right, congratulations to all of y'all. Let's give them a hand.
We got to get pictures. Got to get pictures.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Benfield. Okay, we have 2 action items in educational programs. First is the Turning Point Academy master schedule. I believe that's changing the day from 8 to 1:30. That comes from committee recommended for approval. Any questions or comments? Mr. Bryant?
The reason they're going there is because they got in trouble. Is that correct? Am I correct there?
Dr. Fisher, do you have anything to add to that as far as the reason for the change for Turning Point?
And is that the reason that we're letting them out early, because they caused trouble after 1 o'clock, after 1:30?
Mr. Blunt, I believe the recommendation from our Turning Point team, our instructional team, to the Education Programs Committee was an effort to improve overall attendance at Turning Point and production at Turning Point Academy. Obviously, you know, we do have an alternative program. Students attend the alternative program for a variety of different reasons, some of which could be disciplinary behavior. But what we want to do is enhance the experience at Turning Point for those students. Right now, we do see increased absenteeism. We see increased discipline at the end of the day, and our hope is to create a new opportunity for those students to take some pre-trades classes, do some things and work to learn, getting those young people engaged in employment opportunities in the afternoon that we are currently unable to do because of the current schedule. It's not that we want to lower the expectations or change the hours necessarily for those students, but it is really to open doors that we hope that through these opportunities, those students will not only complete their high school diploma and graduate from high school, but we can get them in a job, we can get them employed, and we can get them a productive part of society moving post-graduation. So I think it's more than just that. It's really looking at a bigger picture and what we can do versus just what we've always done.
Any other questions on the schedule? All right, thank you, Dr. Fisher.
Thank you.
Those in favor of the new Turning Point master schedule plan, if you'd raise your hand. Any opposed? Let's see, that's 7-1. Then we have the Cleveland Early College High School master schedule plan. I believe that changes from 8 to 2 on Friday only. Any questions or comments on that schedule change? Those in favor, if you'd raise your hand. Any opposed? It carries 8-0. Then we have school improvement plans. Those were in your board packet. All those come to the board from committee recommended for approval. Any questions or discussion on the school improvement plans? Those in favor, if you'd raise your hand. Any opposed? And that carries 8-0. Next is the Operations Committee report. Operations Committee met on November 4th. Dr. Wampler presented the capital projects report to the committee. Mr. Blanton asked a question about the outside landscaping companies and adherence to our policies, and Dr. Wampler checked with that school to make sure those things were in order. Dr. Wampler presented the heating and air proposal for Shelby and Kings Mountain High Schools. This proposal includes a drastic cost reduction from the original bids. The committee discussed the proposal and continued needs of the systems at these two schools. The Shelby High and Kings Mountain High proposals, if approved, will be added to the already approved Burns and Crest projects and will complete our ESSER budgeted amounts. The committee unanimously supported the recommendations for Shelby and Kings Mountain High Schools and the recommendations on tonight's agenda. Dr. Fisher presented the invoice from T.C. Strickland for a portion of the Shelby High School field house that's to be paid from the SCIF grant received by Cleveland County Schools. This grant was for improvements and facility enhancements at our high school athletic facilities. Out of the grant, stadium lights have already been replaced at two of our high schools. Dr. Fisher also outlined the draft budget put together for the SCIF grant. The committee recommended approval of the proposal, and the invoice will be presented to the full board tonight. Dr. Fisher also discussed surplus property with the committee. The focus of the discussion was the old Shelby Middle School ball fields located across Sumter Street from Turning Point. The recommendation from Dr. Fisher and staff was to declare this property as surplus and work through the disposal process as outlined in the general statutes. The property has been offered to the county commissioners and they have no interest in acquiring the property. The committee supported the recommendation to declare the property as surplus. This recommendation will be made to the full board for approval. The committee also briefly discussed the Marion and Graham properties. Dr. Fisher stated that conversations with the county and city of Shelby were ongoing, and he hoped to have an update on those two properties at the next committee meeting. Mr. Pless was pleased to report that Cleveland County Schools was receiving 3 new yellow buses and 1 new activity bus as part of the North Carolina Volkswagen settlement. With no further business, the meeting was adjourned. The next Operations Committee is scheduled for Friday, December 2nd at 9 a.m. We do have a few action items. First is approval of an invoice to T.C. Strickland, and I didn't write down the amount. Does anybody have that handy?
600-something thousand.
I think it was more than that. Let me get to it here.
$680,155.40. Does that sound right?
600, I knew it was 600 and something.
Yeah, there you go. Yep, thank you. So this, again, comes out of the $4.9 million SCIF grant that the school system received for athletic facilities, and this portion set aside for Shelby High School. So that total is $680,155.40. That does come from committee recommended for approval. Any questions or discussion? Those in favor, if you'd raise your hand. That carries 8-0. Next is the heating and air proposals for Kings Mountain and Shelby High Schools. Again, that at Kings Mountain, that covers the 2-story wing, and at Shelby, it covers the gym and surrounding areas, locker room, and replaces a lot of the electrical gear at Shelby. That comes from committee recommended for approval. I believe the total was just over $6 million for that one. Any questions or discussion?
That'll get all of our high schools with air conditioning, right?
Yes. Does that suit you, Mr. Taylor?
Sounds good to me.
Mr. Blanton?
Yes, now, is it still that we're, well, with what I seen today, I think they've already started at Burns with,
Yes.
with that project. So we're gonna continue that Crest and Burns gets their heating there because they're the worst, and that's gonna be first before we,
Yeah, they've already started.
okay. When are they planning on starting this at Kings Mountain and Shelby? Because we've leased these units, and
It'll be immediately, as soon as we approve, assuming we approve the bids tonight.
they're gonna
It's
start
really
doing
good.
that immediately.
I mean, I'm not gonna say somebody to be there at 8 o'clock in the morning, but probably in the next few weeks.
But the way it was told to begin with, that we was gonna get Crest and Burns first because of the mole and the compensation lines and everything like that. And we've leased these mobile units at all 4 schools. You know, I hope they got a lot of help, to where they gonna be able to, start up, because it acted like it was gonna be 2 years or a year down the road, and here we are paying the lease on
Well,
mobile units.
It won't take as long at Shelby and Kings Mountain now because they're not doing a full thing, but whenever, I'm assuming I don't see Dr. Wampler, the
Well,
mobile
I'm
units are a month to month. Whenever we're done with them, we can send them back.
But
Or
what
not.
I'm saying, we're not gonna jump over there, they're gonna send, if the same people's doing it, we're not gonna send the help over there to do
No.
that, and we're
No,
gonna slow down on Crest and Burns,
No,
okay?
the same contractor's handling all 4, Beam Construction, and I believe there were separate subcontractors on Shelby and Kings Mountain.
Okay,
So there shouldn't be any slowdown. I
right.
get that right, Mr. Childers? Okay.
all right. It's not, I'm not gonna take
but-
away from them, but I'm just saying the way that we had described it at the beginning, you know.
So I understand from Beam Construction, they'll be in full force next week for sure at Crest and Burns. You'll really start to tell a difference then. Any other questions or comments on the Kings Mountain and Shelby projects? Pulled up, the total is $6,316,000 for those 2 contracts. All right, those in favor, if you'd raise your hand. Carries 8-0. Then surplus property is the ball field across the street. And you have a resolution in your packet, and all the resolution does is declare the property surplus, which gives the superintendent permission to negotiate and bring back a proposal later of what we finally do with the property. So we're not selling it or giving it away or doing anything tonight other than saying, Dr. Fisher, go to work. Any questions or comment on that, Mr. Blunt?
Well, you mentioned Graham and, them. That was brought up and in the meeting, and it's not in our minutes that what discussion was took place. It's not in there.
Well,
And
it's in the minutes that we discussed those, but until we get word
no,
back.
it's not in, they're not, one word, it was in the minutes of Graham and Marion, and what was said.
The committee also briefly discussed the Marion and Graham property.
Right, but
There's not a recommendation to bring back to the board yet because the county has not responded to our request as to whether they want it or not. So we can't do anything yet.
We need to take Graham off the list. We got schools that
Well,
are full.
that's out of order. We're talking about the property
Okay.
across from Sumter, the ball field property. Marion and
But that
Graham's.
was brought up, and it's gonna be, pushed in the next go-round, and here is,
No, sir.
okay.
Any questions on the ball field property across from Sumter Street? All right, those in favor of the resolution to declare that property surplus, if you'd raise your hand. Carries 9-0. Next is our policy committee report. Mr. Humphries?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Policy Committee met on November the 1st. Leah Sink presented a draft policy to the committee related to foreign exchange students. The committee discussed the policy and decided that a maximum of 2 exchange students would be permitted per high school, and that foreign exchange students would be limited to our traditional high schools. In terms of tuition, since the host families would be domiciled in Cleveland County, no tuition will be required. Mr. Sink will work with school staff to make edits to the policy proposal, and the committee will review the updates at our next meeting. Dr. Fisher highlighted policy 4130, out-of-county admission. Dr. Fisher stated that state guidance on approving out-of-county admission had changed, but our policy was still compliant. We do not need to change the policy. However, the board will need to approve students transferring from out of Cleveland County. Dr. Fisher presented a memo that was sent to school and district leaders regarding reporting requirements in policy 4250. Dr. Fisher went through the memo and discussed district professional development that was coming later in the month. Pursuant to General Statute 143-318.11, subsection A6 and A8, the committee entered closed session to discuss a personal and school safety plan matter. The next policy committee meeting is Tuesday, November the 29th at noon.
Thank you, Mr. Humphries. Next is our Safety Committee report. Mr. Fitch.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The November 2nd meeting of the Safety Committee was called to order. Dr. Stephen Fisher provided an update on safety discussions surrounding the access road at Elizabeth Elementary. Dr. Fisher had met with county representatives and discussion ongoing regarding the side entrance of the long-term safety options. Dr. Fisher and David Pless updated the committee on information regarding outside items such as bags being allowed at athletic events. After discussion from committee, staff, and local law enforcement, it was agreed to continue to monitor our current practices and review again in the spring. In addition, Dr. Fisher and Mr. Pless led some discussion about ticket sales for football and basketball games. The focus of the conversation was if the district should move to online ticket sales only. The committee agreed to monitor the percentage of tickets sold online versus in person. The committee recommended looking at the ticket pricing structure in hopes of encouraging online ticket purchases. Dr. Fisher and Dr. Scholl announced that the district's school safety grant had been approved and was fully funded. The grant total was $1,310,891. The total allotment is split between funding for school resource officers, school safety equipment, services for students in crisis, and training to increase school safety. The grant is for the 2022-2023 school year. During the agency updates, the committee discussed license plate readers' entrance into the schools by first responders and threat assessments. The committee expressed their appreciation for the questions, input, and participation by our school system partners. Dr. Scholl provided a brief staff update about the district's ongoing safety efforts. During the new business portion of the meeting, a question was raised about the students' identification cards or badges. Dr. Fisher responded that Crest High School was already using student identification badges and that the program was being expanded to include all 4 traditional high schools. Future expansion to the middle schools is also being discussed. With no other business, the meeting was adjourned. The next Safety Committee meeting will be scheduled for Wednesday, November the 30th.
Thank you, Mr. Fitch. Dr. Fisher, Superintendent's update.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I'd like to take the opportunity today during our superintendent's updates to recognize 3 outstanding people and their service to the Board of Education. I have a few comments that I'd like to make and then recognize these 3 folks. Cleveland County Schools desires to create an exceptional educational experience for our students, and we work hard to prepare students to be successful in their post-secondary careers. The district's mission and vision focus on cultivating excellence in everything that we do. In an effort to cultivate excellence, our Board of Education, the members of our board and staff, work with students, parents, and community members to create a positive learning environment in which all students can be successful. The leadership of our Board of Education is essential in the successful education of the children in Cleveland County Schools. Tonight, we have the opportunity to recognize 3 extraordinary board members for their leadership, dedication, and selfless service to Cleveland County. During the past several years, I've witnessed firsthand the strong leadership presence exhibited by Philip Glover, Coleman Hunt, and Dina Green. For the next few minutes, I'm going to highlight their work as a collective group, and then I'm going to highlight some special attributes of each one. During my central office tenure, I have often observed these board members focus on improving and enhancing the educational experiences provided for our students. These three board members have exhibited high expectations for themselves, the board, our staff, our students, and our schools. Mr. Glover, Mr. Hunt, and Ms. Green have led by being passionate about helping students reach their potential. Student success is on the tip of every educator's tongue, but this collection of leaders has put this well-recited phrase into action in our work with students, parents, schools, and community. Mr. Glover's, Mr. Hunt's, and Ms. Green's desire for students to be successful is evident in their words and in their actions. In addition to their desire to see students be successful, these three leaders exhibited a desire to continue to better themselves as board members and as leaders, continuing their education, participating in professional development opportunities, and taking advantage of leadership opportunities in our district and across the state are just some examples. All three are truly dedicated to the field of education, and that dedication is apparent in what they do for our students, schools, and school district. I had the opportunity to speak to several of our staff and board members that previously served with these three and have incorporated some of those comments into my speech today. One of our staff members said that, "I just think about all of the times of the years where their job was so difficult. They had to make decisions that weren't always popular. And they did that and took those decisions and took the feedback with such grace and integrity." These three board members, gave us an example of what leaders are supposed to do. So at this time, I'm going to get Dr. Hunnell to assist me. We've got some presentations, and first I want to talk about Miss Dina Green. Miss Green, if you didn't know, was the Shelby High School homecoming queen just a couple years ago. Miss Green has served on the Cleveland County Board of Education for 5 years. Miss Green is a wonderful leader and has become a tremendous asset to our board and school district. Miss Green always has a smile and always has something pleasant to say about everyone. "Blessed are the peacemakers" is an accurate representation of Miss Green's attitude and service on this board. She always works to find the good and is eternally optimistic. Her positive attitude, her sweet spirit, combined with her work ethic and dedication to the task at hand, will be missed on our board. One of our staff members said that Dina Green provided a motherly approach to being a board member. I appreciate her efforts and cannot thank her enough for stepping up to the betterment of all students. She will greatly be missed, but I'm sure she will continue to be involved as a mother, as a substitute, for years to come. A former board member that served with Ms. Green said Dina is all about family. She cares deeply about her family and the Cleveland County Schools family. She is a woman of few words. As the board member, she was not just one to make comments for the sake of commenting, but when she spoke, you listened because she knew she had something informed, compassionate, and had something important to say. Dina, thank you for your service to Cleveland County Schools.
Thank you.
Next, I'd like to talk about Coleman Hunt. Coleman Hunt, didn't know, is a member of the Garden Web Hall of Fame. Coleman Hunt has also served on the school board of Cleveland County Board of Education for 5 years. Whether you refer to Coleman as Mr. Hunt, Principal Hunt, or I think what he likes to be called most, Coach Hunt, Coleman Hunt's legacy and dedication to Cleveland County Schools is legendary. He's a gentle giant. Mr. Hunt brings extraordinary experience and perspective to our school board. A longtime teacher, coach, and school administrator, Mr. Hunt exhibited a unique gift of combining high expectations, a no-nonsense approach, and a soft, caring spirit that spoke to everyone. On the board, Mr. Hunt's experiences as a school principal served as a barometer on numerous occasions. One of our staff members said this about Mr. Hunt: "Thank you, Coleman Hunt, for bringing your educator's knowledge to the school board. I am especially thankful for your years of level-headedness, reasonable approach, and true north spirit of leadership." Another highlighted the years he spent working with Mr. Hunt as a peer inside the district, and now having the opportunity to work with Mr. Hunt as he served on the board. A former board member stated Coleman never met a meal he didn't like until now he's on the diet. He always enjoyed our meetings, Coleman always enjoyed the time together. Coleman's experience and education made him a valuable board member. His insight as an administrator was always helpful. Coleman, thank you for your service to Cleveland County Schools. And finally, Philip Glover. Mr. Glover has served on the Cleveland County Board of Education for 17 years. I'll say that again, 17 years. Anybody that serves on anything for 17 years is to be commended. Mr. Glover is a wonderful person and has served faithfully during his tenure on the board. Mr. Glover has been on the Board of Education during my entire career at Central Services. Mr. Glover's leadership, consistency, dedication, and passion for Team CCS has been a staple ingredient in Cleveland County Schools' success for almost 2 decades. Mr. Glover's experiences are too many to count. He's seen in 17 years, he's seen school openings and closings. He's seen state championships. He's seen too many awards programs to name. And he's been instrumental in building a new Shelby Middle School, a new North Shelby School, and combined with Mr. Hunt and Ms. Green, the construction as we saw today on auditoriums, Burns High School and Crest High School. One of our staff members stated, "I'm so very, very thankful for Philip Glover and how he selflessly invested so much time into the students and staff at Cleveland County Schools. His unwavering support and dedication truly exemplified excellence and leadership. Thank you, Philip Glover, for all you have done over the years. You leave behind a legacy of exceptional educational school boardsmanship." A former school board member stated, Philip, perhaps because of his years of experience in law enforcement, has the ability to identify an issue or problem quickly and offer a solution faster than most. Philip is well respected across the county, not just by those in Cleveland County Schools, but he's built relationships with other county leaders that help to strengthen Cleveland County Schools. Philip's sense of humor often helped to alleviate any tension that sometimes can arise during board meetings and help build relationships with fellow board members. His professionalism, leadership, and true concern for the students and staff of Cleveland County Schools will be missed. Thank you, Mr. Glover, for your service to Cleveland County Schools. To Ms. Green, Mr. Hunt, and Mr. Glover, we appreciate you. We thank you, and we are, and we will be better because of you. As a token of our appreciation, Dr. Hunnell has presented you with a few gifts. It's our hope that you will take these and enjoy these as symbols of your leadership and our appreciation of you and your service to Cleveland County Schools. As I close, there are 3 words that I think define your leadership. As I thought about your leadership over the last 5 and 17 years, I came up with 3 words I believe summarize that leadership, and I'd like to leave you with these 3 words. First is team. You all 3 believed in doing things together. You believed in this family, and you believed in enjoying one another's company. We've had the opportunity over years to enjoy good times together. Lots of good times, and when I think about that, I think the donuts we would eat in Greensboro together, and just so you know, in there you might have a card for your own dozen of donuts that there. I know you'll miss doing those things, and you are all about team and collectively doing the work together. The second word that I think of is excellence. Your leadership helped us to create an exceptional educational experience for students. You truly are a cultivator of excellence, as shown by the back of your shirt that you received tonight. We hope you continue to be a champion for public education and a champion for Team CCS. And again, Dr. Hunnell presented you with a Cultivator of Excellence shirt and basket for you tonight. And the last word is selfless. You unselfishly gave of your time, your energy, and your resources to make everyone around you better. You didn't serve for notoriety or fame or even the money. You served because you believed in public education. You served because you believed in students. You believed in our staff, our team. You believed in Team CCS. You served to make our schools, and you served to make our communities a better place to live, work, learn, and play. Again, you believed in team, you focused on excellence, and you led unselfishly. And for that, Team CCS and our Board of Education thanks you and wishes you the very best. At this time, Mr. Chairman, I'll turn it over to you for comments from the board.
All right. during our board member comments, I was going to give the board, if you have any comments you'd like to add, we'll close out with Ms. Green, Mr. Hunt, and Mr. Glover. Let you guys have the last word, and I'll finish up at the end. So anybody have anything? I'm not going in any particular order. Mr. Bland?
I will promise that I will stand as I've stood the last 9 years to the people and for every last child. I will continue to ask questions from here on out. I will try to get to the bottom of everything, be transparent to our people and our parents for your children. I will continue to fight on our insurance. I haven't forgot it. We're signing up right now again that we took something away from our employees that was a benefit to them. And it was not costing the school system one dime for what it could help a person when they retired or left. And I hope that that the new board will look into what I've been discussing for the last 5 or 6 years, because it was a benefit that people today cannot afford. They could save a lot of money on their life insurance. And I hate that that went away, and hopefully that it will come back. It's not going to benefit the ones that's gone, but maybe the ones that's here in the future. And I'm just one person. I have not made any promises, but I will do the best of my ability to serve every one of y'all as I said I would. I want to thank you. December the 12th is our swearing in for the new board, and we'll be working, I hope we can all work together to make things better for our school district in Cleveland County. I want us to go to the top. And that's a goal that I'm looking for, that we raise our scores and work and benefit for our children. Thank you.
Mr. Shores.
Ms. Green, Mr. Hunt, Mr. Glover. They always say you can learn something new every day. And I want to say something. I learned something new. 2.5 years ago, I got caught up in a lot of noise. Sometimes we got to separate what's fact and noise. And you guys have taught me to drown out the noise. Thank you for what you've done. I appreciate it. And again, good luck to you and God bless.
Mr. Taylor.
Ms. Green, Mr. Hunt, Mr. Glover, I appreciate the friendship we've developed over these last 2 years. I appreciate the advice, the leadership that you guys have shown, and Cleveland County Schools is by far better for having you guys and Lady as part of the school board of education. I respect you each tremendously, and I look forward to continuing friendships down the road. Thank you for your service.
Mr. Humphries.
Okay, this is totally off the cuff, so y'all watch out. Yeah, don't chase that rabbit. Here I go, I'm chasing the rabbit. No, I really appreciate the time these last 2 years of serving with y'all. It's been a pleasure. It's got off to kind of a rocky start, but we got things worked out. You know, one of the things I've been contemplating recently here, I'm sorry, quick rabbit hole, is the difference between an adversary and an enemy. And we've not always agreed on things. We've been adversarial about things, but one thing we have never become is enemies of one another. We can disagree on something, but it don't mean we have to try to destroy each other. And I wish politics everywhere could understand that. Mr. Hunt, in particular, Mr. Hunt was Mr. Hunt to me when I was in high school. So that's been a special pleasure for me serving with him now. And I've had the pleasure of him being on 2 of my committees. And his wisdom, particularly on policy and education program, has been invaluable in these committees. I've learned a lot during these 2 years, so I really appreciate that. Anyway, thank you all.
Mr. Fitch?
I won't take but just a second. I want to say, the same as the rest, I really appreciate your service on this board. I know 2 years ago we came in, it was really a rocky night, that first night, and we had some other nights that was rocky, but I can say that we all kept it professional, and I really appreciate it, and really appreciate the guidance that y'all gave us, new board members coming in. I think it really helped all of us. And like Mr. Taylor said, the Cleveland County school system is better now for y'all being on the board, and we do appreciate that. And good luck.
Ms. Green?
I just want to say thank you. It was an honor to serve the school system, my community, the teachers. I really enjoyed the 5 years. Had to come to an end like this, but I don't regret anything decisions I made while I was up here. I did enjoy my term serving with each and every one of you and our previous board members that I see in the audience. I learned a lot from you all. I will still be active in Cleveland County Schools. I won't go away. I'm still gonna push and support my teachers, students, and anything that I can do moving forward. So I just want to say thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Hunt?
Whew. Where do I begin? I'm thankful for the opportunity to have been a student in one of the greatest school systems in North Carolina. I'm thankful for the opportunity to serve for 40 years as an employee of one of the greatest school systems in North Carolina. And I'm thankful to be elected as a board member for 5 years in one of the greatest school systems in North Carolina. That's Cleveland County Schools. I have lots of tales that I could tell, lots of fun memories, and I just appreciate the opportunity to be here. When I was 5 years ago, well, it was actually 13, whenever the last election cycle, when I came on, I was asked, would I consider running for the Board of Education? And, I'm scratching my head trying to figure out a reason why I should say no. But I couldn't figure out a reason to say no. So I said, yes, I will run. And I'm thankful to the voters of Cleveland County that allowed me to be a part of this school board. There's been a lot of things, a lot of issues, a lot of hearsay. That's all part of politics, and I understand that. But one thing that I will say with this current board, they came on with an agenda and with a vengeance. But as things settled, they listened, and the things that they thought were issues, they found out that they weren't issues. I appreciate them, and I'm going to miss working with you, but I'm going to move on. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Glover?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Back in 2005, when I decided to run for school board first time, I had no idea that I would serve 17 years on the Board of Education. No, I didn't even know if I would even get elected. I was elected in the first election after the merger. So it was 3 boards coming together. They'd been together for a little bit, and then they finally had the election, and I decided to run, and Steve Curtis decided he wasn't going to do it, so I basically took that spot for him. There's a lot of people I could thank. My family is one of them. Lord have mercy, the stuff that my wife and my kids have, that I've missed out with them. And they accepted that because they knew I loved Cleveland County Schools. But they was kind of used to that. Being in law enforcement, we miss a lot of things. And, we miss Christmas and we miss things like that. And, I was blessed to be able to retire from the Highway Patrol, and dang, if here I am still missing things that, I missed that soccer game with my son because I'm at a meeting or at an event. But it's because they accepted that, and they knew that the love that I had for this system and public education and making sure that our students and our staff and our teachers got what they wanted to. I tried to come in when I came in on 05 positive, and I want to leave positive because that's the way I've always tried to operate. I appreciate the leadership that in the lessons that I learned from other board members when I first came on, with the Richard Hooker that's here, and the Sharon Miller, and the Tommy Green, and the George Litton, and the Mary Evans, and the Terry McLean, all of that group when I first came on, and Jack Hammer accepted me, and I learned so much from that group that it was just unbelievable, and just sit back. Sometimes they'd throw me in there a little bit, and I'd come running back out just because I needed some more advice from them. There's so much in this school system that you can't learn overnight. It is just unbelievable. There's so much I'm going to leave, but are going to miss, but there's so much that I am blessed to be part of. The friendships that I made here is unbelievable. Opportunities that I've met people and build relationships with that I would not have that opportunity to do or have if I wasn't on the school board. And I treasure that, and I thank the good Lord for that I'm able to keep those friendships alive. I love Cleveland County Schools. Like I told in the school visit today, we had a school visit today, and I told them there, one of my favorite parts of the school board, being a school board member, a lot of people think it's just Monday. That's all they see. Man, it's so much more. And one of my favorite things to do is school visits. Going those school visits is just a great opportunity to go and see that administrative staff and those teachers and those kids, and just, interact with those kids to see what they have to say. It is so fun. I stood behind one kid today, and he turned around and he said, you smell pretty good. So I thought that was pretty neat, So it's just that kind of things that you will miss when you, that I won't have the opportunity to do. I still hope to be part of, I will be supportive of our school system and our teachers. And I'm going to tell you what, our school visit today, I was telling Mr. Humphreys, man, when you go there and you see what we've got going on in our school system, man, put a tear in your eyes. It makes you proud. It makes you really, really proud. When I first came on the board, our graduation rate, which I was like graduation rate. What the heck is that? You're learning so much. We was in the 60s, like 65%, 64%. I'm leaving it now that we're pretty close to 90%. That's pretty good. That's what, that's good. Not saying that it was all on me. It is a team, and that's what I always supported, was the team. And I hope this board will continue to support the team so that we all get what we want, and that's good achievement for our students, support our teachers, support our parents, and just do what's right. It's been some tough times, but man, me and my wife was talking a couple weekends ago, man, we had some good times on this board too. Years ago, I'm not saying y'all are not fun, but I'm just saying it was good times. Dr. Fisher is my third superintendent that I've worked with. This is about my third or fourth boardroom that I've been into. So there's been a lot that has happened over my time, and I can more positives than negatives in this world, and more positives in this school system than they are negatives. Like Joel was talking earlier, I mean, you can hear some of this stuff that's rumbling, but man, you don't know what's truth until you're up here. And that's fine. That's fine. Everybody has a right to say what they want to, but I am blessed and a better person and a better Christian for being on the Board of Education. Thank you.
Try to pull some of this together. I've heard good comments all around. I appreciate what Dr. Fisher said. He kind of gave each one a title. Miss Green has been the peacemaker. She's just steady as you go all the time, never gets real excited one way or the other. She is the peacemaker. Philip, I started to put old timer or long timer on there, but experience sounds better. Anybody that serves 17 years gets special credit. Vintage, there you go. And Mr. Hunt, save you to last because I've known you for a long time. You wasn't brand new at Crest High School, but you was real new when I was coming through. And then our daughters were the same age, or are the same age, and grew up together. And we shared some soccer games, but absolutely tickled that I got to serve the last 2 years with you and see you in a different light. And the wisdom you have as an educator and the things that you've been able to provide us in closed session and school visits. You could tell me what all was going on and explain it to me so I could understand it. I appreciate that. And, this board was thrown together in 2020 and probably one of the most volatile political times we ever had. You had the Trump-Biden election. That was Trump-Biden back in 2020. And everything was just, everybody's mad at everybody at that time. And COVID. And we came in the middle of COVID, and some good comments have been made about separating the noise out, being adversarial without being enemies. I think Cleveland County as a whole, the state of North Carolina, and this nation could take a lesson from this board of how it took us a while, and we had some rocky times, but we came together and learned how to work together. And whether we agreed or not, we got the job done, and I think Cleveland County Schools is better. Better for this whole board, better for you three. I appreciate your service, 5 years apiece and 17 years. We appreciate it. So with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All right, all in favor can leave. Thank you.